Before we do that, I wanted to show you something that's equally cool, and maybe we want to provide something that lets the user essentially manipulate all these sliders in one go. So let's say there's something that opens and closes the whole back bit, but as we've seen in the video, what would have to happen is that 3 sliders are being moved simultaneously or maybe slightly staggered, and make it easy for people to have one slider that goes left, right, and then goes and behaves almost like a mini animation. And that is where keyed properties come in, and those are quite funky because they use, in fact, or they can use the timeline here, and you can turn whatever you put on the timeline into sort of a mini slider here with these key properties. Let's see if we can make that happen. So the first thing that we need to do is set up what we want to happen. So let's say the gun is supposed to be open on frame 30. So I'm going to go move my playhead all the way to the end. I'm going to go and set a keyframe on all these properties. On the back bit here, I'll go and set a keyframe, and sight, I'm not sure if sight is affected by this. I think it's only the back bit and the left and the right flap. Let's go and make that happen. So those are all getting keyframes here. And then at the beginning of this, we want the right flap to be closed, and we want the left flap to be closed. And we also want the back bit to be rotated up like this. And thanks to the power of keyframing, DAZ Studio would have already remembered that I've changed values and now makes these changes here for me as I go and move the playhead on the timeline. So I've put them all on the same frames, but you might not want that. You might want the back bit to go down and then for the flaps to close. So you might want the back bit here to be at 0 already, but the flaps, you might want them to be open still. We can make that happen. It's going to be a nice effect. If we do this, then as we go and move the playhead, and it's just a matter of how the animation is set up, but now the gun is completely closed. Then we slide this open, the flaps come up as I go to the middle of the timeline, and then as I go and slide this further, then the back bit comes up. So I think that's a sort of a nice effect. And now that we've set up this animation, the cool part is that I can put this onto its own slider. So let's have a look how we do that. First of all, we're going to go and put the parameters tab into edit mode again with a right click, and then we're going to go and create, also under adjustments, I think that's a perfect place for that. We're going to go and create ourselves a new property. And we're going to go and leave that as a float value, and let's call that one rifle open, for example. You can give it a nice color here, create this as an empty morph, and hit create. And this is our slider here. So with my little gear icon here, I think I'm going to go, and I don't want for that to go into the negative. So I'm going to have the minimum stay at 0 and the maximum at 1. And that's basically all I want to do here, aside from maybe colors and whatnot. And now, still in edit mode, I'm going to go and right click and choose ERC freeze. And in theory, I don't quite know if this is going to work. In theory, I want to go and choose this keyed property tick box here, which says extract from play range. And that's exactly what I want to do. And as we do that, most of these properties here should go away. I should only see these 3. In fact, sight, we don't want to be part of that, but the back bit, the right flap and the left flap are supposed to be part of that. Now I'll go and click OK, or accept rather, and you'll see that my keyframes have disappeared from the timeline, which is sort of, I think that's good news, right? Let's go out of edit mode and go and move my slider here, and look at that, it behaves exactly like my timeline behaved. So that is pretty insanely cool. So this now means that your user can go and move one slider or animate one slider and have a fully functioning rifle here. That is pretty cool. I'm as impressed about this as you are. So